Welcome back to Up West Sports, and tonight's a good night. Usually we're doing these, and it's a sad night, especially over the last couple of weeks. So nice to have a huge offensive explosion and a W. We got Dogfish Head, another Northwest beer in the house, 90-minute IPA. If you haven't given it a check, definitely give it a check. It is good. Kyle, offensive explosion tonight. What are your thoughts on tonight? And then we'll kind of get into the bigger picture of things.
Great to see. We've been kind of wondering when was it going to come back. Baseball is a game of, it's a game of streaks. I mean, they always say, "Oh, that guy's a streaky hitter," or "That's a streaky pitcher." I think that's just everybody. I mean, just some people maybe have higher ceilings and lower floors. I mean, Polanco is a prime example of a guy that he comes into this year. The first month of the year, you're going, "Wow, is he a MVP candidate?" Probably, he top 10 type of guy. But the fact that you're talking about him as an MVP guy from the year he had prior is nuts. And then he has a massive cool off. He's starting to kind of bring it back a little bit. So it's like, okay, maybe he's just kind of, again, it's a game of, streaks. Ben Williamson, a guy that we talked about, early on the off season about being that dark horse to come in here and do something. Came in, got really hot, cooled off. People were calling for his position, and to me, he is established. I love the pupper. Great.
Yeah, this is the big guy. This is the big guy right here. Do you say hi, Bob? Let the nice people know.
I don't know.
Sorry,
I just think
break.
Ben has really established that back end of this order, especially when you lost, I would say, the key piece of our back end of the batting order with JP moving to the leadoff spot with Robles hurt. And then you've got Young, who people were like, okay, he's 1 for 19. That's enough. We should send him down. No, you give the kid a shot. He's played a really good infield, and he's starting to hit the ball. Today he had a great game, get that double. He's putting the ball in play. He's hustling. You got these two young guys really kind of rounding out your order. They're OPB guys. They're going to get on base beyond just beyond a base knock. And then you've kind of got that, whoever's going to bat in that kind of 7 hole, it's kind of in a couple different people. And then right now, I love Rowdy in that 6th spot.
Yeah.
He's played a really good 6th spot. So, and then Canzone had a good game today. You can't take it from him. He's kind of a hit or miss guy for me. He has his moments, but quite frankly, I mean, that was what Tavares was for us. So right now, until we kind of get that stabilization from Rayleigh or Robles or whoever that's going to be, play the hot hand. Play the hot hand in right field. Put him in that 7 spot, and you've got your bottom 3 of the order, and then you've got Tellez that kind of ends up finishing up your middle of the order, and then you kind of play around with your front order. But
sorry,
I love it. It's a good stuff. But I look here, everybody in the lineup, everybody but 2 people in our lineup today had a multi-hit game. Phenomenal, great to see. We had more walks than Ks. I can't remember the last time that happened. And they were good at bats. They were extended at bats. They weren't just, look at the best pitch of the at bat, swing at something 3 feet off the plate, and then swing at a pitch, up and in, or you let a ball go by and the next one just rolls right over the plate. And it's like, well, that was a real productive at bat. And then we roll into the next inning, and you go to the bathroom, you come back, and we're already on defense again. So ultimately, from the offensive side of things, it's great. And I know we talked before this, did they put their series worth of at bats into this game? I can't. You can't believe that. You have to not believe that. Otherwise, you hate baseball more than probably Mariners fans do at times. So I'm going to say they found something that works, and you just hope it's something that they can replicate. Maybe not to the level of this, but if you play 70% of this, you could play 50% of it if we had pitching like we did last year. But if you could have 2/3 of what you did today, you should have a chance to be very successful.
Yeah, and touching on that, the pitching that we've had this year has been middling to lower. It hasn't been as great. Um, and so, yeah, you do need the hitters to kind of come through, and this is the kind of offensive explosion you have to have a little bit more often. Um, it sucks that it hasn't happened for a little bit, but also, hey, it happened. It happened. My question, I guess, moving forward for the rest of the series, or just moving forward in general, now that we're getting into the summer months in Seattle, is this the turning point? Is this finally the turning point that they usually do on most summers, right? Like most summers, they usually party up in June, July, or August. They usually pick 1 or 2 months. Obviously, the 2022 year was the 14 game streak that honestly they need right now. Like that's kind of what they need to go into the either the All-Star
How
break
many
or
more
the
games do they have before the break?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'll have to take a look, but they do need some form of a streak or some form of like kind of like that the 9 straight series like we had to start off this year or at the beginning of this year and everything. They need something to kind of heat up a little bit because if they're middling, if they're around 500 or even 3 or 4 games above 500, but like really close for first place with the Astros, I don't see John Stanton and company lowering the boom and giving the money that they need to get the player or players that they need at the trade deadline. Like that's
So
kind
do
of
you think
the big thing.
So do you think they redact or from their statement? So I saw something come up on ESPN talked
Yeah.
about that they're willing to spend at the deadline. Do you think they would kind of go, well, not now? And it's like, well, what do you mean not now?
I
Like
will
your
say
team.
that's the first time I've heard them say something like that because usually they just keep their mouth shut. They don't say anything. So the fact that they are saying it is it's a positive. But I'm also like, we've been fans for years. We've had this we've had this regime for years, and the only time that they've rewarded that is when in 2022 when we lost Robbie Ray and we went out and we got Luis Castillo, which was a big splash. Now last year you could say Randy Rosarena was a big splash. We were still another bat or two away. I know we got Justin Turner, but we were still kind of that bat or two
By the
away
way,
from really
player of the
making the push.
day is Justin Turner. And if you don't know why I'm saying
Oh,
that, you need to go
I
on
did
the
actually see that.
Justin Turner
Ty,
is the player of the day.
yeah, if you haven't seen, I think John Boy might have put it on his stuff. Check out Justin
It's
Turner,
everywhere.
and
It's
he's
great.
the reason. Like, uh, whether you like that kind of humor or not, like that's what you get in the locker room, and that's like he's the man. He's the man. He's freaking hilarious. Ty actually
He is
counted
the
28 games until the All-Star break. So that's kind of what we got coming
okay.
up. A 14-game winning streak, as odd as it would be, is actually attainable because of the amount of games, but also I just with this offense, this would have to be the turn. Like this would have to be okay. Like this is the offense we're gonna get. We got Logan Gilbert coming back. George Kirby's now turning a corner in his year,
Mm-hmm.
and then Emerson Hancock kind of stays on the same path that he's been on. Which, by the way, we kind of called it a little bit. Emerson Hancock, the weather's starting to turn. He's starting to pitch better.
You
Like
say we, you
we're
mean you. Which let's give credit.
yeah,
So
well,
you called that
it's
out.
we are Up West Sports. I'm a team guy too, but also yeah, like it was really cool to see that. And Rooftop Force, thank you so much. I actually just opened the comments, so I just saw that
It
that
just
myriad
popped them up
of
too.
stuff.
Yeah, it's okay.
So sorry that we didn't get to all the comments from you. But yes, I agree. Cal definitely struggled, but what a turn of events. Finally, the rest of the team picks up Cal when Cal doesn't have the game that he doesn't, Cal's been Cal. So it's like, all right, he deserves a day off of not hitting well, and the rest of the team can go off. We're
And that's
okay
just
with
like
that.
the
Can
pitching.
zone,
And
yes.
that's just like the pitching. Exactly. Like you think about early Logan Evans, going up against, I think it was like the Sox. And our offense goes and puts nearly I think they put a 10 spot on the Sox, and it's like, hey, we got you. Just pitch, make your mistakes, but we're gonna get you covered. And I think right now, it where when we're not getting that pitching side of things, which last year was like, hold my beer, I'll take care of this. Right now, our hitters are having lulls, and it's like, hey, staff, we need you to have a game, and that's where we're having the Kirby 4 innings, 7 runs. Um, that's where I'm hoping with Miller out, really can't go to that 6-man rotation if you really want to think about it. Gilbert doing his rehab assignments. Hopefully he comes back and can be, maybe not what we expected him to be at the beginning of the year, but hell, if you can get to 80% of that, that's pretty solid. Maybe you build up to what we expected that to be. Kirby maybe finds a stride. Woo just continues to woo us, and have a good time with that one. Hancock and Evans just are building. Hancock especially is building. Logan had a little bit of a rough patch last outing, but I think consistently throughout the year, he's showing improvement. And, and then we get into the back end of the rotation and, our rotation in the bullpen, and you've kind of got your A team, those guys, you got your Brashes, your Munoz, Spire. And then the B team is kind of can we find somebody else? I mean, to me, could you trade maybe one of the, again, we've talked about maybe is it Kirby? Do you trade Kirby and try to get yourself a kind of a high-end reliever? Maybe another bat with it. Maybe find some sort of deal within there. They don't right now. We have a large inventory of pitching. Unfortunately, there's not all healthy, so it's kind of a contradictory statement just in the same sentence. But yeah, and I mean, I think with Cal struggling, to me, this is
Healthy
also
or
looking at
good.
the what?
I was just saying healthy or good. Like we have
Yeah.
guys that can pitch and they'll be good for every now and then they won't be able to pitch in the big inning, right? Like they'll show like 3 or 4 outings of 6th, 7th inning relief pitching when we're down by 3, up by 3, and it's not like that super close game or anything like that. And then as soon as you put them into that high leverage inning, which I was at the game in Arizona. Well, I live here in Arizona, but I went to the game when it was Monday, and Canzone hit the bomb, tied it back up, and win in extra innings. Electric game as a fan of the game of baseball, but as a fan of the Mariners, we did all that just for nothing. And it's a story as old as time as a Mariners fan, but Vargas came in, and it was funny. So Dan Wilson's family was all sitting right in front of me, and then right in front of his family was the Vargas family, and they had a big sign and everything, and just really cool people. I want to give a shout out to them. They're really good people. Had a good conversation with both of their families, and Vargas came in. Obviously, he was electric for the first time. Yes, bud, I love you. I love you. My dog's super needy right now, so apologies. But Vargas came back out for that second inning. And yeah, he got touched up a little bit, and you can't really blame the guy too much. He's been good. Bizardo in most stints has been good. We still do. I do agree that we still do need that guy, and maybe Kowar is that guy. I don't know. Like it's still a little early. It's still a little early to tell exactly how good he's going to be consistently, and for the rest of the year. But Kowar so far not bad. And he's staying upper nines. He's doing exactly what a first round. I think he's a first or second round pick. Yeah, he's doing exactly what he should have done. And so I'm excited to see what he can do.
You just wish he was left-handed.
I mean, we need a left-hander. Ty actually mentioned, I think Ryan Baracki was one of the names that we could be going after this trade deadline, which would make sense. And I could pull up his numbers just so we can take a look at that and what it looks like, just kind of moving forward and all that stuff. But I guess getting into that trade deadline talk right now, it's a tale as old as time. If you're middling, if you're around 500, if you're within like 3 to 4 games of 500, Jerry and company, John Stanton and company are probably not going to do any big splashes. They'll be kind of like your Kendall Graveman for Abraham Toro, kind of more straight across the board, where Abraham Toro was I guess he's more top prospect, but he was still major league ready. Versus, I mean, yeah, we had the Paul Sewald trade, we had the Gino Suarez trade. Those are the kind of trades that you're starting to look at. If we're under 500 and we're 5 to 10 games back of the Astros, but if we're neck and neck, I don't see the splash that we need, unfortunately. Now, they did come out and say that again. I know I said it earlier today, but it bears repeating. They usually don't say that. And yeah, they said it. They said that they're willing to open up the checkbook for something this year. I don't know what that looks like, because there's not a lot of people in that realm, especially right now. Right now, there's so many people that are middling, that are tied, that could go either way. You just don't know. Like Luis Robert is kind of the big name that's been floating around. He's still, we don't know what you're going to get from him. I do like what I think, was it Kick Dirt or was it Stoic? One of the guys had mentioned the Andrew Vaughn trade that happened today for Aaron Civale, which I thought that was kind of funny. Aaron Civale asked for a trade, and to the White Sox you go. The only thing that would have been worse is to the Rockies as a pitcher. That would have sucked. But he went to the White Sox. Hey, go make a career, buddy. But if Andrew Vaughn can go to the Brewers and actually have some success, yeah, that gives me a little hope as well. If for a Luis Robert trade, depending on what that looks like. But also, I'm not too shy about giving away prospects right now. Go win is where I'm at.
And if we're looking at 28 games left, I mean, you're hoping you could go, I mean, no worse than 18-10. That's puts you 8 games, especially with the Mariners are going to have a lull. I mean, we're in one right now, but I just feel like you're always going to have that post All-Star game lull. And you saw what we did last year. You're right. We were 10 games ahead, had that massive drop. So it's like, how close can we get ourselves kind of a buffer, if you may, to be able to kind of absorb that lull? I mean, you think about now, you want to talk about a silver lining. We have played terrible as of late, and we're 500. Most years we would be 10 games under at this point, and you'd be probably packing your bag. So the fact that we're talking about this, God damn, we're playing really bad, yada, 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 and we're 500, take a little bit of confidence, go here. Teams haven't, again, we have the 9-series streak, but it's stuff like that that helps you when, again, you're going to have a lull and how you can stop it. So to me, if you can go at least 18-10, seems like a lot, but if you can go 18-10, gets yourself, at the worst, 8 games above 500 going into the All-Star break. You get some rest.
The streak can start at any point in time, and there's still plenty of time. 100%. I think the optimism is 100% there, especially when you see a game like this. It's just we had this conversation multiple times. I think it was right after we went 1-5 at home, and we talked about, hey, you can't get too down, you can't get too up. You got to try and stay even keeled as best as you can. And it's tough as a fan, right? Like we don't play the game. We're just here to watch. But coming from our playing days, it was kind of that same mentality. Can't get too high, can't get too low. Try and stay even keeled. Try and enjoy the game and enjoy the wins that you do get. And we won tonight. So let's enjoy that. Let's hopefully build off of that and build into the All-Star break. All-Star break being 28 games away. The end of July being the trade deadline is probably another 12 to 15 games after that. So plenty of time to build some momentum, but it has to be built at some point. It has to be built. And I'm hoping this was the cornerstone. I'm hoping this was the turning piece, because Gavin Williams, great pitcher. And he's been kind of on one for the past couple of outings. I do know this because he's on my fantasy team, and I picked him up 3 weeks ago, just because I was like, all right, let's see what he got, and boom, he gave me 3 or 4 good outings. But you got to turn the corner. You got to start stacking the wins. You can't just have a win 7-2 and have 16 hits and then lose the series. You can't lose on Saturday and Sunday and then try and resurface on Monday and go back to it. You got to try and stack the wins. You got to try and win, Monday Friday and then Saturday, and then have it be a dog race on Friday or Sunday. I cannot get my days correct right now. So have that dog race on Sunday, right? As you are up 2-0 going into Sunday, that's when you can be like, okay, let's boat race this team. Let's see what we can get. If it's 11-10, it's 11-10. Or if we get lucky and Brian Wu's on the mound, perfect. All right. Like, we're kind of set up. Now we just need to do what we've been doing, which was hit. Again, I go back to, I hope we didn't blow our load with 16 hits tonight and can't figure it out, because that has happened. We have seen that happen to the Mariners before, where they just absolutely dominate on one game and then can't come up and surface on the other couple games. But I did want to get into one of the guys Ty had mentioned, especially for lefties, Ryan Borucki. He is 6'4", left-handed. I'll go ahead and pull up his profile here.
I also give a shout out to Cal. Cal had 2 walks today, so on base of 400 today. While the hit column didn't look great, the guy was getting on base, so I had to throw that out. That your best days with the bat might not be with the bat. You might be getting on base otherwise. So he's becoming, if he is not, a complete player. So I got to throw that out.
Yeah. And I mean, here's the other part of it is, I wanted to get into Ryan Borucki. Sorry, not the other part of Cal. So but huge shout out to Cal. But Ryan Borucki is one of the left-handed pitchers that you could be targeting from Pittsburgh. Obviously, Pittsburgh's having a terrible year. They should have been building, right? Like, they have the pieces. They're just not bringing them up. Like, they have Bubba Chandler in AAA for absolutely no reason, other than to give some other guys some starts that are probably not as good. Kudos to the Brewers for calling up Mizorowski. That guy's electric, and I think he's going to be electric. The only reason he got taken out of the game, he had no hits going into the 6th inning. And the only reason he got taken out was because he rolled his ankle after a pitch, which is crazy. So I'm excited to see what that guy can do. Bubba Chandler's in that same conversation. But anyways, getting into Ryan Borucki with Pittsburgh, he's got 23 2/3. He's only given up 19 hits. ERA isn't amazing, right? Like, it's a relief pitcher, so you want to look at the other numbers when you see a higher ERA and a lower hit per 9. Like, if the hits are above the 23.2, like if he had given up 25, 26 hits, okay, like, he's getting hit around and he's probably not doing too well. But because he's pretty much 4 or 5 under, it's worth taking a deeper dive into. And also, he's like worth it. Like, you're not going to have to give up a whole lot for this guy. 21 strikeouts, 9 walks. There's something there, right? He's not going to be a high strikeout guy, which is also not Jerry's MO. Jerry doesn't go out and get high strikeout guys. This is a guy that could come in and kind of turn the corner. His ERA plus is sitting at a 3.67, well under the 4.94. So that kind of paints a little bit different picture. And then, his FIP is at a 3.67. His ERA plus, is at an 85. So the FIP tells a little bit different story, that his fielding independent pitching is a little bit better. So I wanted to bring him up as far as a good trade chip or trade partner kind of coming up and everything. And then Ty also wanted to mention for Borucki, it's his 62.5% ground ball rate that might have value despite not costing much in a trade. And I agree. I think the trade value on him, you probably wouldn't have to give up too much. Maybe a top 30 prospect, but probably a lower end guy. Like, not a whole lot. I'm trying to think of names right now that are in our lower end. Maybe a Brock Rodden. Maybe not even him, because he's kind of doing well. But maybe somebody lower than Brock Rodden. Honestly, I don't think you'd have to give up a whole lot to get him. And the ground ball rate is good.
Usually come in. Really hard to grade. It's just hard to value, because it can be as high as your starting first baseman to your, like you said, your bottom 30 prospect. It's just, again, it comes down to what they like, and you just hope that you hope that your prospect will do. But I always feel like you have to reach a little bit with with your prospects to get a major league shown arm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
I think it's
I like Borucki.
a great pickup. Yeah.
I like Borucki in a trade, especially since we were talking about left-handed pitching. And I agree. The left-handed pitching, we don't have depth. We don't have any. We have Taylor Saucedo, who 100% could be called up at any point in time and just be given that opportunity and everything. But I did want to also mention, I did see during the game, Zach Pop got called up and Logan Evans got optioned back down. Well, we kind of all know what the story is on that. Logan Evans has options. He'll be back soon, probably in time for his next start, or maybe delayed by a day or two, and somebody else kind of comes in for a start. But Zach Pop into give us a chance. Maybe this is the other guy that we've been missing. Who knows? Maybe he's the next Jackson Kowar, and we can kind of see some good stuff from him. So excited to see what Zach Pop can do. I know he was kind of good, and I'll look up his stuff to kind of put it on here live and all that. He was with the Blue Jays. He was with the Blue Jays. He might have been a Marlin at one point, but I'll double check on everything. But kind of moving forward into the big picture of everything, what are your thoughts on coaching staff and just where they're at? What's going on with them? What are your thoughts?
Let's put on the PG-13 banner here. I think you have to look at the makeup of the team. And we have a team full of personalities: Rosarina, Rodriguez, Castillo. And that's not a bad thing. I think they're a very animated bunch. And it's got a lot of personalities. And you want a place for those personalities to thrive. I think about, again, just thinking locally, Seattle, the Pete Carroll, Legion of Boom eras, tons of personalities. And you need a coach that those players felt, and at least from the viewer standpoint, you could tell that they felt Pete. Now, kind of didn't end the right way, but for the time when things were good, you could tell that Pete Carroll and staff, but more so just focus on Pete Carroll, those players were like, that guy's got me. That guy has got. He is in my corner, and whenever he sees something going wrong, he's going to call it out, and he's going to protect me, and he's going to let me be me. But I also think Pete Carroll, probably behind closed doors, was a guy that said, "Hey, I'm going to let you be a free spirit, let you do your deal, but I'm going to call you out on your shit when I need to." And those guys are going to respect it. And I think that's why that team worked as well as it did, because you've seen other really good teams with loud personalities like that crumble because they didn't have a nucleus, or kind of that, call it the call center, if you may, where everything routed to that one place that could keep things moving nice and easy. With the Mariners, I struggle to see that kind of fluidity with these personalities. And when you look at Dan Wilson today, they panned to him a lot during the game. He just looked disinterested. And by no means is this a shot at him as a person, but as a manager of a team with a lot of personalities like we do, in a city that has not had the best of luck in baseball success, especially in the last 2 decades. And we've seen some of the things we talk about, the JP ejection. I think it was last week, where he just seemed like he was more interested in just diffusing it and just getting JP out of there than actually sticking up for him. Like, that would have been the opportunity we talked about. That was the opportunity for you to get tossed. Like, you stand up for your player, you get him out of the way so you can go have your rant on the ump, and you could have said anything like, "Dude, just toss me. I don't want to be here anymore," but at least show a little bit of emotion. I'm just struggling to see the fit right now. I mean, we saw Stephen Vogt on the other side, and we've talked about, God, I would have loved to taken a flyer on that guy. What I get nervous about is, it's Dan the man, and I'm not going to go down the road of the, Jason Varitek and Derek Lowe deals and how he got, where he was at. But in terms of staff, where it is today, the windows we talk about with our pitching staff. I'm struggling to see how the fit makes sense, especially with what we've seen or what I mean. Again, we don't see everything, but from what the viewer sees when the video pans to your chief of command, and he just kind of looks like this, just completely disinterested in what's going on. To me, it's like, well, if he ever decides to, go to a player and say, "Hey, I need you to step up," to me, if I'm the player he's telling that to, going, really, you want me? You're going to tell me to step up when you sat there and lollygag? Like, I'm sorry, I go away. And again, that could be a harsh take, but when you see that, just kind of whatever, like to me, that would lower my confidence in a manager right there. And
Yeah.
one
And
take out
I
of millions
see.
of others.
I see exactly what you're saying too. Because yeah, when the camera, and granted, we have the resources that we have to use, right? Like we're not Mina Kimes, we're not Ryan Divish, we're not behind the scenes. We don't get to see what that looks like behind the scenes. I'm more than certain he's a tremendous person. I did get to meet his family at the game the other night, and I know that he's a tremendous person because he comes from a tremendous family. Just absolutely amazing people. Had a great conversation with them and everything. So I wanted to say that before kind of getting into that. But I agree that you need some electricity in the dugout right now. You need Max Scherzer was the guy that I wanted this offseason. Not that the Rangers were willing to give him up, but that's the type of guy that you need. You need somebody who's going to be that, not just glue, but also the FU guy that steps up. And also on top of that, either the guy has veterancy and he was a good player for a whole career already, or the guy that's still good. Like we need one of those guys. We need the guy that steps up and does that is usually the guy that is playing baseball very well. And that's coming from multiple winning teams that I've been on. When I had, not trying to stay away from like going too far into like, I do want to say close the yearbook to myself, but also like this is the team that I was on. We had Michael Conforto, Jake Lamb, and a couple other like top tier players that were on this team. And yeah, when we had
Pro
bad
players,
games,
mind you. Pro players. We'll
yeah,
just so
which I
there's a
think,
pedigree.
yeah, and this team that we had, which was Chafee Baseball up in Seattle, by the way. But this team that we had guys that stepped up when we needed them to. When it was a 3-1 game, we were losing in the sixth inning because we were only playing 7 innings back then. We're losing by 2 runs going into the 7th inning. We had an FU guy. We had a guy that just gathered everybody up and said, "Let's go! Like we got to figure this. We got to figure this thing out." Now there's more colorful language behind that because if you've ever been in a dugout, I don't care if it's major league or high school, there's colorful language. So heads up. But also referencing the Justin Turner funny thing that he did, which if you get to see it, enjoy, but also enjoy. That's the best way I can put that. But you need an FU guy. We don't have that, and you're hoping that your manager would kind of be that guy that gets tossed out, like we talked about, or like you had mentioned, and we talked about before we got on here. When JP goes off, which I think deservingly so. Usually JP, when he moans and groans and stuff like that, it's a little bit laissez-faire. It's a little bit kind of out the side of the neck and stuff like that. But man, JP earned that one. Like that's the type, when you go off, that's what it looks like. That's what it's supposed to look like. And Dan was in that moment should have had his back and should have also gotten tossed out too, in my opinion. And I think there was a missed opportunity. Whether you needed to stay in the game or not. Yeah, go ahead.
To piggyback on your thing, like let's say you sign a Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer isn't running out there to go cuss out the ump. You know what I mean? That's not his place. It's Justin Turner's on our team. He's our starting third baseman or starting first baseman. He's not running out there and getting tossed with JP because then you just lost your shortstop and another infielder. That's where the manager comes into play. This is your team. Like if you feel like your team has been affected by these calls, even if you get tossed, it doesn't really change. It changes only still one person out of your starting nine. And I think that's the other. And again, you're not going to have Max Scherzer on an off day come out there and cut somebody else out, because who's to say that Major League Baseball just goes, "Yep, we're going to suspend you for a game. You lose a start." We might need that start at some point. So you need to have those guys in the clubhouse to keep order, I think. And then you need to have a manager that goes, "You're going to keep okay, Scherzer or whoever that's going to be. I need you to keep our people in check. I'll take care of it when it comes to the field." You do your,
Yeah.
because when those guys are playing, you don't need them worrying about the other 9 or other 25 guys that are out there. You need to worry about you and what you need to do. I'll worry about the rest of the guys. And I think that, to me, to your point, you need that guy. You need that FU guy, but you need to have the manager that has a little bit of the, okay, kind of flip on the FU switch and do that part.
Yeah, I think it would have been behoove him to step in front of JP before he got tossed out. Now, granted, like that's that minute of a situation. You either both get tossed out or you step in front and you get tossed out. That way you save your shortstop from getting tossed out of the game. I agree. There's some levels to that, I guess is the best way to put it. Dan had the opportunity to do something and just kind of didn't capitalize on it. Now we're being critical of Dan. Overall, he's still doing pretty well. There's still a lot of season left. We did just have an incredible win. We're just hoping that maybe we can figure something out to move forward with, because there's a lot of positive from this team, right? Like you see Randy Arozarena, you can see that he's a positive guy. Polo is a part of the crew. He's not super electric. He's just kind of one of those guys, and that definitely fits in. But man, he hey, want to give a shout out to him. Home run from the right side. Here we go. Yep, thought it was gonna zoom in on me again, but home run from the right side. I know, right?
L for love.
L for love. That's when it zooms in on me, and I gotta zoom it back out. But Polo, first home run from the right side this year. Absolutely electric. So cool. Is he back? Are we moving forward in the right direction with Polo right now? What are your thoughts on Marco Polo here?
I don't want to, like, so again, first home run from the left, from the right side. You're going, hey, is that knee maybe healing up? I don't think it's completely healed up, and it's one of those. Okay, I'm not going to be over dramatic about it, but I'm looking there going, okay, that's a positive step. My thought is, okay, keep this slow upward momentum. Get to the All-Star break. Put that guy on bed rest, dude. Get off the ground, knees, rest, ice, heat, whatever it's going to be every 20 minutes, whatever that they told us as children. You got okay, ice your arm, ice heat for 20 minutes apiece, but get off, and then let's see what we would come up with post All-Star break, because I'd love to be able to see kind of maybe a resurgence of the what was told to us as, hey, we have Polanco who is healthy now. And we saw that first month of the year where he just absolutely tore the cover off the ball. He saw beach balls for the whole month. Okay. Yeah. So is he getting healthy? Again, in baseball, there's not a lot of off days, so you're kind of playing through injury, but it's kind of being, you're managing it and moving through it. And so, Dylan talked
Shout
about,
out Dylan Howe, by the way. Hey, we got another Coug in the house. Dylan Howe. If you guys don't follow Dylan Howe, he's in our chat right now. Give him a follow. Watch their stuff. They had a really good episode today. It was also live, talking about Go Cougs and just Pac-12 realignment and everything. Yeah. Hey, got the Coastal shirt on. Guess who gave me this shirt? It was Anthony Marks, who won it in 2016. He is there right now. Definitely go Coastal right now. But also, if Murray State wins this damn thing, good for them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm here for the upsets. I'm here for just good baseball if Wazoo's not going to be in it. Also, Oregon State. Shout out to Oregon State. That was the first school that ever gave me a recruiting trip. Didn't end up getting didn't get the offer, but it was a recruiting trip. Got to meet Pat Casey. Got to meet Pat Bailey. Great people. So if they win it, congrats to them as well. But for right now, yeah, we're going to say go Coastal and kind of move forward in that. But Dylan Howe did end up saying, should you trade Harry Ford for a bat already? And I will add one more step to that. Should you trade him now while he's still red hot in AAA before calling him up and potentially kind of having a Cole Young situation where he's not doing as well, or even a Jordan Lawler? Like Lawler got called up and he was doing fairly well in AAA and went, I think it was like 1 for 30 something. Got called right back down. So if you're going to trade him, do you keep him there? And is that why they're keeping
keep the projection?
Yeah.
Keep the projection, not the reality.
Exactly. And the fact that he's doing it in Tacoma right now and not in high elevation, like he's hitting home runs in Tacoma, not Salt Lake, which is awesome. I mean, he's also hitting them in Salt Lake, but right now, currently, he's hitting them in Tacoma, which is just a very good sign. Yeah, Dylan, I'm always going to give the plugs. You guys are awesome. You guys help me and our crew here at Up West Sports move forward with everything. So I will always give the plugs, and also go Cougs. Like, why would we not? And then wanted to get the ties question as well. Might be a bit late to make the deal, but could you bring Winker back?
Yes.
Could you bring Winker back before the 24th of July? Now, there's a lot of heat and animosity between our fan base and Jesse Winker, but I will say he was that fire. And can he have a nice conversation with Rendon? No, I'll to the second part of that. No, he will never have a nice conversation with Rendon. He hates Rendon. No, I understand. It's not a question. It's a joke, and we're gonna put that joke right on the air. But yes, it's does Jesse Winker make a way back?
Just put a poll out there.
Just put a poll out there.
And then
question, we did have another question.
Say 100% yes. Absolutely get the surgery. I think you gave him 2 times. Nothing better. Get it out.
So yeah, Dylan had mentioned should Bryce get the surgery now? Yeah, I think if that's what is being said behind the scenes. Again, I don't have access to what's being under 100% said behind the scenes, but everything's indicating that is 100% what's happening. It should have happened probably a month or 2 ago when it first popped up. If that is the case, if that's what the doctors are signing off on, then I'm 100% behind it. It just sucks because you probably won't see him for 1.5 years, 2 years. Speaking of which, Taylor Dollard went through a labrum surgery and just had his first innings the other day. It was actually pretty cool. First innings in Everett. And he got 2 1/3. He had 2 strikeouts, no hits, no runs. It was incredible to see him back. I'm excited to see him work his way back. I don't know what his velo looks like because we don't get all that cool information from the lower levels of minor league baseball. But shout out Taylor Dollard. Excited to see what he can do. Hopefully he can work his way back up into AAA. I would imagine he stays. In Everett for another couple of weeks just to continue this slow grind back up. Labrum surgery is just never easy to come back from. It's the toughest arm situation to deal with, but I'm hoping he can come back. I'm hoping he can just gradually make his way. Cause he was on the same page as Brian Wu, which funny enough, they both went to Cal Poly together. So I just, I'm hoping that you can get something for him and either end the year with a big league, major league debut, or start the year off hot next year and see where everything's go. But yeah, Ty, his mom was there and it was really cool. It was a really touching moment that they had. And I can actually look that up. Kyle, if you want to take it away for right now and just talk about kind of what's going on down the road with the Mariners and everything, I'll try and pop up that video.
Yeah, I think, I think you have to look at the future of this team. So I think with Miller getting the surgery now, I was nervous when Gilbert went down with, kind of similar issues going, is he need the surgery as well, so hopefully we see as him just having that soreness and it was nothing more. And we don't have two of our arms on the shelf, like you said, Gab, halfway through the next season to potentially not pitching at all next year. So hopefully we're not seeing, multiple arms go down. When you talk about Harry Ford, it's a hard one because I think, could that be a bat that could help us today? Again, projections versus reality. I don't know. Is he more valuable as a trade piece versus a bat on this team? Um, you've gotten Garver. He's he's just not doing it for us, unfortunately. Yeah, he's our backup catcher. Well, I mean, that's great. We talk about hiding bats in a lineup because their defense is so good. There's right now we got too many inconsistent holes in this lineup. So if Harry Ford can go in there and kind of be that guy, and I know we talk about development and not wanting to bring a guy up that young to have essentially cut his at bats and more than 50%, but what is your farm system if not to facilitate the major league roster? I mean, unfortunately, I look at Harry Ford going, dude, if I drop you to 30% of the bats you're used to, but that helps me get W's at the major league level. I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, as a player, I want him to play more, but like as a team, I mean, isn't that what this team sport's supposed to be about? So like, hey, you have a place on this major league roster. It's not the same at bats as you have at a AAA level, but you're on the major league roster. You're going to contribute, and if you continue to progress when you get your opportunities, then those at bats come out. And I know we talked about could he play other positions. So, but again, there's just so many different avenues you can go into. Another reason why I love baseball, because there's not a straight angle to it. Like, you can go left, right, up, down, 9 degrees this way or that way. So it's just kind of, what you believe is to be the most effective route to take for the team and yourself, and we go from there. I see you pull the video.
We've talked multiple times about prospects are still not proven. And you just don't. We have a large capital of them, and we have the number 3 pick in this draft. Who we can get it. Actually, I do want to get into that after this. I do want to point out this was really cool, touching moment. No better feeling than when Mom coming to the ballpark to surprise you. Taylor Dollar's mom visited Everett tonight, cheering on her son as he worked his way back from labrum surgery, suffered in 2023. Dollard with 2 1/3, striking out 2 while allowing no hits, no runs. Incredible outing for his first outing back. He did have a couple outings in Arizona Complex League, but we all know no one's really showing up to those games. This is much cooler. So this was. Just a really cool moment that I wanted to share because it was actually really cool. Mom was there, and there was mention of she doesn't really come out to Seattle a whole lot and everything, but that was really cool that his mom got to be there for that, and he did well. Again, I'm very excited about what Dollard can still produce, even though the expectations may not be there for everybody. For me, we all saw what he was doing before he left, and I'll pop it up. I'll pop it up right now just to show you guys what I'm talking about. Dollard was Dollard was on a path. He was on a path very similar to Brian Wu. Let's see if I can pop this up right here.
And I think Miss Dollar might be a bigger deal than we know, because when you're showing up to a baseball field and you get Enter Sandman as your song of surprise,
and she got Enter Sandman as her walkout.
Give it up. So, Miss Dollar, you are a big deal, and thank you for what your son does for us.
Yes, very, very, very big shout out to the Dollard family. But so before everything went down, this was his last 3 starts in 2023. Obviously not the greatest numbers. 8 1/3, gave up 9 hits. It is what it is. The year prior, I do want to talk about this. 144 innings, 131 strikeouts. Very Jerry-esque. He's not a big strikeout guy. He doesn't necessarily put a lot of K per 9 in his repertoire. So the K per 9 was lower, but 106 hits in 144 innings in in Arkansas, which, yeah, it may be a pitcher's league, but sure, it's, still good. It's still really good. A 2.25 ERA. The guy's awesome, man. And I
And
know
you
he's
got to
going to do
take out
well.
the
Just
eight
31 walks.
and take out the 8 innings that he pitched that didn't look good. I mean, you got to realize that injury probably happened 40 innings prior to those 8. So, I think like you said, you go back to the stats prior year and you go, that's what this guy was doing.
Yeah. And here was his
there.
Arizona, like I said, he did have a couple outings in the ACL. Actually 6 starts, gave 14 innings, 22 hits. Not the greatest scene or whatever. It is what it is. Moves up to Everett and finally gets back into real live competition. Not that the ACL isn't real live competition. It's just this is more people are showing up at the games. It's it's a little bit more live. So 2 1/3. Great outing. We're excited to see what Taylor Dollard can do. And just kind of, I did want to, the probable pitchers, I did want to talk about that. What we got coming up here is tomorrow, we got Tanner Bibby and George Kirby taking it off. So we got this square off tomorrow, which you don't know what George Kirby's going to give you. We just saw 14 strikeouts last time, which is an anomaly. I will say this. I had this talk with Ty a couple days ago. George Kirby throwing 14 strikeouts is great, and I will always be an advocate for a pitcher doing well. But it's an outlier. He's not a high strikeout guy. It was 14 strikeouts against a not very good team. So this is some real competition. He's got Tanner Bibby, who's 4-6 with a 3.81 ERA, 62 strikeouts. I'm assuming over 60 some odd innings. So he's probably doing fairly well. Bibby is also just a good name. He's been good over the past. And so this is just a good matchup. And also what we did tonight and capitalizing tomorrow, it's now on George Kirby to kind of move the boat further and be able to kind of do that. And then you got Luis Ortiz, who's been very hit or miss. He was on my fantasy team at one point this year. So I know he's been hit or miss because I've had a good game and a bad game with him. So you don't know what you're going to get from him. But I will say his last outing wasn't the greatest. So I expect him to just be lights out this next outing. But he is going against Emerson Hancock, who has been turning a corner very well. If I can give my hats off to anybody, it'd be Emerson Hancock and Logan Evans, who's both of them have been doing a fantastic job of stepping up into a 4.5 and producing higher than a 4.5 would on a normal basis. So excited to see what we got coming forward. But I did want to talk a little bit about the draft and just in years past. So I did a little bit of digging. We talked about the electricity in the dugouts and just kind of what that looks like. And we've had good vibes, right? We've had Gino Suarez. We've had D. Gordon. We've had some of these guys that are good vibes. We've had some of these guys that are, of that passion. We haven't had a whole lot of electricity, in all honesty. We haven't had that FU guy, as we've been kind of talking about. So I did a little bit of digging over the past 8 years. I'm a big fan of Tony Vitello. He's the head coach at University of Tennessee. Done a fantastic job turning that program back into a winning program, and not just a winning program, a dominant program. And he's been at the helm since 2018. And he's done a great job. Every player that I've sent to him in the past, every player that I've heard just talk about Tony Vitello says the same thing. They all love playing for him. Vitello's the guy. And he has that atmosphere of just electricity. I think if you haven't seen it, look up Liam Doyle striking out the Wake Forest guy. He threw 99, and it was just absolutely electric. And Liam Doyle's supposed to be a top 5 to top 10 pick. Do the Mariners take him? Probably not. And here's why. Since Tony Vitello has taken over and created that energy and that atmosphere, and that's the type of baseball they produce, not one player. And just like there's so many players that have been drafted from the University of Tennessee. Jerry Dipoto was never drafted a University of Tennessee guy, at least since 2018. Beyond that, I do know a guy that I played with, Taylor Smart, was drafted, but I think he was a Jack Sorensic guy. I think that was 2014 2014, 2015, somewhere in that era. Shout out Taylor Smart. I know he supports the channel every now and then. So shout out Taylor Smart. Was a Western Nevada guy, and then also a University of Tennessee guy. But for the time being, with that type of electricity, with those types of players, I don't think Jerry Dipoto really targets those guys. Last year, we had a couple of opportunities to get like a guy like Kavaris Tears in the second round. We had a couple opportunities to get Dylan Drilling, the center fielder that smashed his face in the wall and still made the catch. There's just a lot of these really high leverage electric guys from University of Tennessee, and I'm pinpointing one program.
What was Drew Gilbert drafted? Was he? I know he's first round. I just don't know if he was mid, late.
Yeah, he was. I believe he was Rockies. Nope, sorry, he was Mets. He was Mets.
Astros.
No, he's with the Mets. He was the 28th overall pick. And actually, you're right. It was the Houston Astros, and then he was divulged over to the New York Mets. But yeah, 28th overall pick.
The Verlander deal when they traded,
was it the Verlander deal?
That's what I was thinking. Maybe it was Verlander.
But yeah, he was kind of given in that route and everything. But yeah, University of Tennessee has just produced a lot of players. And again, I know I'm pinpointing one program, but Vitello is he's loved by all. And if you're playing against him, it's tough to play against him. So yeah, if you're the opposing coach, you probably don't like him. But if you're a player for him, you're going to know him for forever. And that's the type of coach that you want. That's the type of electricity that you need in that dugout. And he instills that in his players. And his players take that on to the next level. You're starting to see Chase Burns, who I guess, you can claim Wake Forest, but he was a University of Tennessee guy before he went to, Wake Forest and everything. And then you got Garrett Crochet. You got some of these really big name guys that have just come up. Jordan Beck, who's actually kind of doing well. I know he has a lot of strikeouts, but he's kind of doing well for the Colorado Rockies. If there's a team that needed somebody to do well, it would be them. So I did want to point that out, that going into this draft, having the number 3 overall pick, seeing Liam Doyle just do that 99, just right past him. I don't know if they end up taking him. I'd be very interested to see who they end up taking at number 3. I've seen, and shout out to Joe Doyle for this one, I've seen JoJo Parker at number 3. While I don't necessarily agree, I agree with the logic, because he is very Cole Emerson-esque. He's very Cole Young-esque. He's a high, contact guy. Bat to ball skills are through the roof. I don't know if they end up going that route. Number 3
logjam infielders. We need arms. Give me a lefty arm.
Well, lefty arm or just a high leverage bat, right? Because we don't have. We do have a high leverage bat. You just don't know which ones are going to hit. You don't know if Cole Emerson is going to make it to the MLB and actually hit. You don't know if Cole Young is actually going to hit. You don't know if Harry Ford gets called up and he's actually going to hit. So the more high leverage bats that you can have in-house, I agree with. So a guy like Ava Arquette, a guy like Wahiva Aloy, who have been pounding the table for the last couple of months, I get it. He has 59 strikeouts, and his strikeout to walk ratio isn't amazing. I still think he is an absolutely amazing hitter. There, I said it. And everybody's got him between 15 and 30. I don't. I got him higher than that. I would love for the Mariners to take him.
My concern though is that it takes longer for a bat to develop to get to the major league level, unless you're a Jack Caglione, a Bryce Harper, kind of a once in a generational type of talent, where I feel like you can have a pitcher get to the major league level much quicker.
Yeah.
And right now we're in a window. That's where I'm saying I'd love to get a high leverage lefty arm that could potentially come up with us in the next year or two.
Yeah. Well, and that's there's a couple different picks at number 3. I wouldn't be disappointed. Cade Anderson is probably my number 1. Just knowing Jerry. If I'm going between Cade Anderson or Liam Doyle, I like them both. I guess is what it boils down to. But I like Cade Anderson maybe a little bit more because I've seen a little bit more high leverage stuff. and I think he fits the Jerry scheme. And again, you don't know if Jerry's going to be here next year. I'm not calling for anybody's job, but you just don't know if this year doesn't turn out well. You don't know if Jerry and company's going to be. They've been here for 10 years, and we've only been to the playoffs once. And we've just had. If we aren't successful this year, that's 3 straight years after making the playoffs of not going to the playoffs. You don't know what John Stanton's got cooked up behind home plate. Pun intended. But Cade Anderson fits Jerry's mold. And I think that's the route that he would go. Liam Doyle is just another electric arm with a high ceiling that I really like. So I'm very interested to see on which route they go. I could totally see Jerry going high school guy. I could totally see him going with a Willits or Eli Willits, or I'm sorry, the Corona shortstop Billy Carlson. I could totally see him going that route. Not that we necessarily need it, but it has been in his repertoire to do something like that.
Would he call Xavier up? Or do you think he's
Xavier? I don't know if Xavier Nines. Xavier Nines, I don't know if he makes the top 10. And this is not a knock on Xavier Nines. It is a boost to everyone else that has just surpassed him. In draft talks and in draft circles. Xavier Nines is going to be a phenomenal player. Whether he ends up going to
3, though, give him a lower dollar amount in the slot, so that way you could use that money for potentially picking somebody up in the 2nd and 3rd round.
If he was open, again, we have the resources that we have. So if he was open to like a lower dollar amount, and you really like this round, I've talked multiple times with different people. This draft, our 35th pick is still going to be a very good pick, and all the way through the 5th round, I still think we're going to find some really good talent. There's so many good baseball players in this draft. And Ty, you mentioned the catching prospects that we have talked about, and honestly, the one that I like, he's out of Puyallup. He went to Emerald Ridge High School. He went to Lower Columbia Community College, and then he's at Fresno State right now. The last time I checked, and I'll pull up his numbers just to make sure there's where he ended up the year at. But he was at Fresno State. He was batting 330 plus. His strikeout to walk ratio was almost dead even. I think at one point it was 33 walks to 30 strikeouts. He had 8 to 10 bombs. Justin Stransky, got to give him a shout out. And granted, he's a little bit older. I believe he's 22 going on 23. And so he's not favorable in a draft. I still have value on him that's very high. If I'm looking for somebody that can come in right away, and the catcher position, you're looking for the best player, right? Like you're looking for somebody who can come in and prove themselves right away. But Justin Stransky.
Here's Stransky for. I was looking at Fresno State today, by the way. 316 average with a 523 slugging, a 401 on base, 26 walks to 20 strikeouts. Mind you, a catcher that's striking out less than he's walking. Finish out the year with 12 bombs, 45 ribbies, 11 of 14 stolen bases, only 2 errors behind the dish. Pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and I had his because he actually has better stats defensively as well, and I wanted to get into them as well. Justin Stransky has 18 of 24. Like guys that are stealing on him, 18 of 24. That's pretty good.
His own stolen bases. He stole 11 out of 14 attempts.
He stole 11 out of 14 attempts. I'm going to pull up this right now that shows it. Just so you know I'm not lying. Oh, whoops. Wrong one. Let's go. Bang. And again, wrong one. Why are you doing this to me? Boom. There we go. All right. So here's stolen base attempts. Here's caught stolen bases. Here's Justin Stransky. He's thrown out 18 of 20 runners. I get it. It's the Mountain West. That's still impressive. When you look at that across the board, the guy is doing a very, very, very good job. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Justin Stransky. I don't care how old he is. A lot of people are going to talk down on him because of his age and everything. Even if he becomes a UDFA, if he's a Mariner, that's a W. The guy has done phenomenal. So I'm hoping that he finds his way in there. The other one, and you're starting to see it, and I'm wearing the shirt right now. Coastal Carolina has a catcher that is absolutely destroying it. And also, if you check out our video talking about the MLB draft prospects, we did this probably a month into the season. So this was quite some time ago, and I was on there with Overdue Sports. Overdue Sports had talked about Caden Bodine, which is funny because I have a friend spelled exactly the same, and we call him Bodine. So I always call him Bodine for the longest time, but it's Caden Bodine. Bodine has stupid numbers offensively, and then he just threw another guy out today against University of Arizona. First game of Omaha. Keep your eye on this kid. If he goes in the first round, it wouldn't surprise me. If it rolls around to number 35 and we have a chance at Bodine, I'm not against that, especially if we go with Liam Doyle or Kate Anderson, or if Jamie Arnold falls to number 3. Yeah, I would absolutely love to get Bodine in there. Understandably, we have Cal Raleigh, the world's best catcher at the moment and everything. But at one point, you're going to want 150 plus games from a hitter that's doing what Cal Raleigh's doing. You just don't know. And we had this conversation again. I know we bring it up all the time, but we had this conversation about when does he make the move so you can get more value out of his bat, because his bat is the best in the lineup. And right now they're doing a pretty good job of DHing him and catching him. And they have Mitch Garver, who does a great job behind the dish, or a great enough job, I should say. And then you got Harry Ford that's coming up and could make the case to be, they could do 50-50 behind home plate and then Cal Raleigh DH the rest of it. But at some point, maybe just to save the knees, you make the full push to DH or first base, whichever one. I think he's good enough to play first base. I think he's good enough to teach, especially if Perry Hill's still around. They can teach him first base and everything. But yeah, I know I was going balls deep there with draft talks and everything. But Nolsey, what's your thoughts on this draft? How they should do it? I know you had questions about Xavier Nines, if they could save money there. But yeah, what's your thoughts?
Again, I think I'm a big component of. You see that we have a large inventory of middle infield prospects that is great in theory. You hope one of them pans out, but you kind of look at what the cost. I mean, you think about what it takes to bring in starting pitching from the trading deadline, or even signing pitching. It's expensive, and I just feel like this is a place where you can. And again, Depoto's done a really good job of drafting arms, but it's like, can you draft a lefty once in a while? Give me I mean, it almost seems like the lefty pitcher is slowly becoming obsolete, which to me tells me how effective they are. Because if you find a good one, you don't want to let them go. And I mean, I feel like we've got such a large inventory of infield prospects again that we should really look at pitching, make that a strength. And it is a strength, but I think maybe a little more versatility, more lefties. Look for those. That Justin Fresno State catcher, great guy to have, right? Add those bats in the later rounds, but you did is it Durangelo or Sorangelo?
You're Angelo, yeah.
Durangelo, okay, great idea. He's a switch pitcher. He'll probably stick to being a righty eventually, but you want those arms. I feel like, and we've talked about it. If you're throwing hard, you're placing it, great movement, you can get moved up very quickly to the minors. Hitting's a little different. You need a little bit more refinement. Pitchers throw a lot harder. Pitchers are able to spot better when you get to the higher levels of minor league ball. So it takes a little bit longer for a hitter to become major league ready. I feel like pitchers have a little bit of an advantage to come up quicker. And so for me, and you look at like what our team's struggling with is our bullpen help and not having the lefties to really complement the rest of it. Um, especially with just kind of the window that we're in, I would like to see more pitching depth drafted, but more lefty pitching depth because we don't have it.
Yeah, left-handed pitching, we have definitely mentioned this multiple times. They don't have the depth. They don't have really any plans. And the one that they had coming up, Brandon Garcia, they moved him to the pen, and to me, it just didn't make sense why you did that. Okay, all right. Sorry. He loves attention right now. My wife's out of town, so that's who he loves to get his attention from, and he sleeps right next to her and everything. So he's my best buddy. But yeah, we don't have any left-handed depth. And you have the number 3 overall pick, and you have 3 really, really, really good lefties available in the top 10. Yeah, Kate Anderson's probably the one that probably rings the bell the most. Liam Doyle is one of those guys that high ceiling. I wouldn't be disappointed with. There's a myriad of different players that I wouldn't be disappointed with. If they took Ava Arquette at number 3, I wouldn't be disappointed. But also, I still think, and then again, this is not down talking Ava Arquette. This is up talking the other person I'm talking about, which is Wahiva Aloy. If they took Wahiva Aloy, I think he's a pure shortstop. I think he plays very sound defense. If you need to move him to third, he can play third. If you need to move him to second, he can play second. Ava Arquette, after seeing today and just kind of seeing the way that this year's progressed, it looks like he's probably going to make that move to third. Just, he's 6'5". He's got a strong arm. I think the size and just the power that he has, or the potential power that he has, would make best sense to kind of make that move to third. And just seeing him move left and right, it's not bad, right? Like it's for sure for a college shortstop, it is very good. But I think it's best if he.
Did you make this? Sounds terrible. What about putting him as first baseman? I know it sounds like a demotion, but having an athletic first baseman is not a bad thing. I mean,
it wouldn't be my first move just because he is so athletic, and I wouldn't want to take that, because once you put a guy at first base, like, there goes his athleticism. There's been a couple guys that have surfaced the other way with that. We've had Paul Goldschmidt is probably the most relevant one that has stayed that top tier level of athlete and been able to kind of kick it at first. I would like, because he does have a strong arm, I would like to venture off to third base first. And he just still has a good glove. It's just his left and right moveness, or left and right shiftiness, isn't quite as much as you would like your shortstop to be. Wahiva Aloy kind of attacks that. And then all the stats that he put up, again, I know SEC was kind of, you could say a down year, but it really wasn't. They still had Texas and Oklahoma, who made a deep playoff run. They just fell short. They had those 2 schools added to the SEC this year, and he put up almost similar stats to Wahiva Aloy in that same realm. Granted, Oregon State is still playing right now, and they battled back after losing. I think they lost to St. Mary's, which I know you're familiar with that conference.
The Gales,
the Gales. So they lost to St. Mary's and then had that battle back. There we are. I knew it was going to happen. There we go, and we're back. For love. There's a handful of different players I would not be disappointed if Ethan Holiday falls to number 3. I wouldn't be disappointed in him either. There's a lot of conversation. There's no clear cut winner on who your number 1 pick is. If people took Jamie Arnold, it wouldn't surprise me. If Ethan Holiday goes, it wouldn't surprise me. I think the Nationals have the number one pick. So I would imagine they go with a pitcher. If they took Liam Doyle or Kate Anderson, it wouldn't surprise me. So it really just kind of depends on how the first two play out. This is the draft. I was okay with not having the number one pick, but glad that we had a number 3 pick to kind of see where the chips fall in the first two. The kind of sucky thing is that the Angels are right in front of you. Your own, and the Angels are so good. Is good the best word? So good at getting college players and then bringing them straight up to the big leagues. They just called up Christian Moore. They just
good
drafted
at
him last year.
identifying players that can move up quickly to the minors and play with, like, look at Schnobel. You look at Joyce. I mean, so they can figure, okay, that guy.
Yeah, Nolan Shaniel. Yeah, Nolan Shaniel, Matt Tice Joyce. At one point. Now they got now they got Christian Moore. Like they are big fans of they're very fast with how they move with their college guys. I know they drafted Sonny DeShera. Yeah, Jordan Adams. Well, Jordan Adams was a high school kid. He was out of Raleigh, North Carolina. I do actually remember, I think it was Green Hope High School. When I was at Barton College, we got a kid that played with him at the same high school and everything. But yeah, they are very well known for bringing those guys up super quick. And so I'm curious on what that looks like. I'm curious on who they take. I wouldn't be surprised if they went with Ava Arquette, since he's kind of the top hitter available in the draft class. I also wouldn't be surprised if an Ike Irish made his way that high in the draft. People have been talking about him and what he can do, whether he's going to be a catcher or an outfielder or whatever position he ends up playing. So yeah. Anyways, we're getting at the 115 mark. We've been talking and drinking for a little bit here. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this baby up. Kyle, final thoughts on tonight's game? 16 hits, nice little W for the M's. What does this weekend look like moving forward?
So I hope it's a step in the right direction, because I don't want to sound like, oh, this has got to be the moment that we just take off. Quite frankly, if we lost the next 2 games in one-run games and we fought hard, to me, that's still upward movement from what we've been doing. I'd love to see a few more blowouts. I really would. But, like, if I'm going to be realistic, I want to see a few more competitive games to say, okay, we've got a fire lit. Let's just keep moving forward. And kind of how the season started. We started kind of slow, and then all of a sudden those hits started kind of compounding. And all of a sudden we were, coming out of the gate, we were scoring 6-7 runs a game, and things were going well for us. So for me, it's just continue to be competitive for the 9 innings of ball.
Yeah. And Ty, thank you. I want to give a shout out to another one of our guys, a part of the stream. He is always with us, no matter whether he's on or whether he's in the chat. We always want to give a shout out to Ty. He's always giving us new stuff to talk about. It isn't a stream without a Zoom. You're correct. If I don't throw up an L, it wasn't a stream. So, and then also Zach Neto was drafted and was in the show fairly quick. I think it was 2 years. It might have even been less than 2 years. Out of Campbell University, by the way. But thank you guys for joining the show. And just remember, life's too short. Gas up your boys.